Welcome back to When Stars Fill Half the Sky, a novel by Pete Caputo. This is chapter 21, In the Jaws, from Michael Fiveland's memoirs. Did not take long for Mistretta to show up after he learned I was ready to join the collective. As preparations were being made, the NWA leader entered the room with a small entourage in tow. There was a certain air about him, more ominous and menacing than ever. Touches of gray now seasoned his perfectly manicured beard. His hair, stretched back into a ponytail, indicated a new look for them, one of not being so concerned about their global image and decorum. Finally, the first subject possessing free Morrisell was ready to join the collective. From behind Mistretta's big brown eyes, all of them, all 214 of them, looked on with heightened anticipation. We commend you on your long overdue and wise decision, Mr. Fiveland. This marks the beginning of a new era for the human race. Soon, we can begin, but first we need to run more tests to assure complete compatibility. Then, we can commence with paratransmission. Paratransmission? Yes, Mr. Fiveland, we need your soul and we need your body, but we do not need a new host. The public is familiar and quite satisfied with this one. His popularity ratings are favorable. Changing hosts once again would only destabilize the validity and integrity of our organization. Paratransmission will offer us the ability to have you join our collective while keeping your physical body intact. That is necessary to gain access to the Morrisell. Precisely. Since your Morrisell fragment cannot be liberated from that body, it's the only way to get you linked directly to the Prophet. This is what we were preparing to do with your mother, but she was not willing to join us. Mr. Fiveland, much is at stake here, and we must be completely confident that you're in full compliance. So please explain, why all of a sudden have you decided to join us? I took a deep breath to gather my words. I didn't simply want to lie and tell them what they wanted to hear. Likewise, the truth might alert them to my decision with the man from Galilee. Just mentioning that name could have adverse consequences. So I told them, look, it's become quite clear to me that fighting the collective is pointless. I paused, hoping it would be enough, but it wasn't. Go on. When I was first exposed to the Morrisell, I was taken to Teleria, where I witnessed the destruction of that world. It was clear to me how the events that led to that catastrophe were complicated. Since then, I've logged over 300 journeys covering both worlds and civilizations. But in all of my travels, I still arrive at the same conclusion. The persistence of your collective is daunting, to say the least. And with every attempt I have personally made to resist your influence, I've always failed. You realize that your life after this procedure will no longer be the same. You may still be able to access memories, experiences, and even certain emotions, but those recollections will also be fully available to us. Likewise, you will no longer have autonomous control over your body. All voluntary and involuntary functions will become property of the collective. Are you sure you are ready? I have no choice but to comply. It seemed as if I had struck a nerve. Mistretta's eyeballs were jittering wildly inside his eye sockets as the assembly of souls housed in that package of gray matter caucused and calculated all the risks. So your decision to join us is one of surrender and not willful alliance. Before we begin, we must require a sample, a peek into that other realm. But to mitigate any risk or irreparable damage, We must use one of our trusted staff members to take that journey with you. The good doctor here, Dr. Lipschinger, she has agreed to take part in this experiment, so please, allow her to journey with you right now so we can monitor. I'm telling you, it won't work. Explain. Because the Marcel will only allow passage to someone who comes completely on their own. You're controlling her. You remember what happened with Julie? Even after you implanted her, she still resisted working with you. The only way anyone gets in there is if they're in complete control of their own senses. This is why you need me. This is why I come to you now. But I do have just one request. Request? What request? You must agree to release my wife and my children back into the custody of her parents.
This is preposterous. They are invaluable to us.
No, I am the one and have always been the one you have needed. We all know that I could provide you more than enough power for your vessel, as well as being a guide into the half-realm. Two things you've desired more than anything since Teleria. Julie was never even comfortable in the half-realm. I still can't figure out how the Marcel chose her to begin with. She never wanted any of it. So even if you did get her to comply, there's no guarantee any paratransmission is going to work. And my children would be even more of a problem. The Marcel is in their blood and their behaviors are completely uncontrollable. We will implant your children. That won't work either, and you know it. Their bodies will reject the implants. I quipped, having seen all of their test results. So I really am your best bet. But just remember that if I learn of any time you attempt any procedures on my wife or my children, then I will end my connection immediately and end my life. And with it, all hopes of you ever leaving this world. Now I ask you, are we clear? It was a sophisticated chess move, and they knew it. The cacophony in that tacit moment was deafening as the brood assembled to confer. For the moment, I really did hold the keys. True it was, I was trapped in the jaws of the beast. But if they bit down too hard, I would become the poison that would kill them. Eventually, they agreed. Julie, Sebastian, and our newborn daughter, Brigitte, were flown back to Utah to be reunited with her parents behind the protective, lead-lined walls of Area 70. This allowed Julie's mind to be liberated from their control, but by the time she came to her senses, I was gone. I was flown to the new NWA headquarters in San Francisco and placed in a room next to the new mainframe processor. This was the same room they were going to place Julie in, at least in the future we witnessed. It looked like my plan was going to work. Could I possibly be changing the future? Could the act of sacrifice, my life for Julie's, actually alter the course of time? It was time for the procedure. I felt the stiff, uncomfortable fibers of Nilka flesh slowly crawling up my side, piercing my face, neck, arms, and torso. Initially, the pain was excruciating, but slowly gave way to a feeling of euphoria that washed over me. My mind and consciousness were slipping away into another place, a new place, a place that would never feel like home. Yet, for as long as the collective could hold me, it would be my new residence. 20 minutes later, I was face to face with all 214 of them, each one who at some point in time was the host body for the collective. No introductions were necessary, for I'd seen each of them in my past travels. Each one more decrepit, more evil than the last. Now, and for God knows how long, they would be permanently embossed on my psyche. Like helium-filled balloons floating in and out of sight. I could see them, all of them. Giaston Mond, Joseph Stalin, Bel Gunes, Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, Nebuchadnezzar, Mir the Pharisee, and a lineup of other nefarious souls, forever motivated by the whims of their evil nature. Some who craved popularity and renown, and others who preferred the shadows, forever lurking below the radar of public scrutiny. They all came to gawk and stare, peer and glare at the new kid on the block. I felt a strange sense of vulnerability. My thoughts, my emotions, my memories were all intermingling with theirs. Murderers, rapists, maniacal leaders throughout history, all being tortured and haunted by their wicked pasts. It was hell for sure, but something else was happening. I quickly realized how my presence was discomforting to them, for within my soul was a pearl, a memory, an emotion, a message of hope given to me by that name, the name so loathsome to them that none of them could bring themselves to utter it. But that name was my only link to peace and sanity. Like a blinding light in a thick, dark place, none of them could stand it for long. And for as long as I focused on that name, I would feel safe and set apart. In that light, I would find my hiding place and haven of rest from inside the damned bowels of that evil netherworld. The Nilka flesh conduit fell limply to the side of my dormant frame. Finally, the unlimited power of free Marcel was flowing directly from my hand into the Prophet 10,000. The massive processor came to life instantly. Moments later, a stream of wireless energy was established. In Tesla-like fashion, Marcel energy was being transmitted directly to the Black Knight orbiting far above. Mistretta and the gang were elated. They immediately took off for the Agni to oversee the recharging of the Black Knight. I was a part of them now. I saw everything through Mistretta's eyes, even though my body lay comatose on a bed in a room in San Francisco. The resurrection of the Black Knight took only days, as it continued to expand and contract like a huge beast awakening from its deep slumbers. Ghostly, greenish-blue light peered behind the folds and cracks of its thick yet pliable organic hull. Intricate functions belonging to the devices of Talarian origin, millions of years old, were coming back to life as that strange breathing pattern continued. Never before had any of them witnessed such power from a single human asset. All of their dreams were about to come true. The face of G. Aston Mond pushed its way into my view and addressed me directly.
This procedure has enlightened us to options we have never before imagined. In less than 14 days, we will be ready to embark on our journey. But although we now have more than enough energy, we would prefer to keep your Morocell fragment aboard the Black Knight as an insurance policy, barring any unforeseen variables.
But that wasn't the plan. You're talking about another system-wide global failure. You know what happened the last time the plug was pulled.
Yes, but do not fear. We are prepared to take you and your family along with us.
No. I already told you I will not leave this planet alone or with my family.
This is totally illogical. We can offer you more than what is humanly possible on this planet. You know what awaits us, and the quality of life we can offer.
Can you hear yourself right now? You're suggesting we leave and sentence the entire human race to a slow and painful death.
You are over-dramatizing, Mr. Fiveland. They will survive just as they have in the past. Yes, there will be catastrophic events for a period of time. Many will die, but the human race should survive even without the Morcell. We're not sure how, but obviously they have done it before.
Your projections, I could see them. Casualties this time could be in the billions. I can't do that to my world. I won't. I won't do that to them.
Why should you care? Would any of them care if your life was in jeopardy? Even the God you believe in has forsaken them.
That's not true.
Oh, yes, Mr. Fiveland, it is true. Since the day of the sun, the believers all gone, and with them all the old belief systems, religions, and places of worship have been abandoned. Just as we have surmised, planet Earth is cursed, and the inhabitants of it are useless, vermin, worthless waste, tainting terrestrial resources. Perhaps in a millennia or so, after the remnants of the humankind have amply purified their own race and re-established some form of civility, we can safely return to assess any redeeming value here. You can return with us if you like, but by then, I am sure you will have no desire to do so.
The Black Knight was just about ready. Soon, the collective, along with a team of 13 doctors and scientists and 20 new colonists, specimens of the very best, most anatomically perfect human beings money could buy or manufacture, would be racing toward their new Eden.
Colonizing a new planet will take some time. But in our new world, we will develop a new intelligent life form from its indigenous species. In time, a robust population will spread far enough into all habitable areas of that world. And with our help and the power of the Morcell, we will for the first time have full dominion over the planet, further perfecting our technologies that will continue to propel us out into even more new worlds until we have completely dominated the cosmos with our brand of civilization.
You went back on your promise, all of you. I told you I would end my life if you did this.
You really believe this? We could never allow this to happen. We will now place you into a form of hibernation, a type of tranquilizer. You will lay dormant within our hive until we reach our new world. Good night, Mr. Fiveland, and sweet dreams.
There was nothing I could do or say. It was checkmate on me. Instantly, I fell asleep and would not regain consciousness for a very long time. They disconnected my comatose body from the Prophet 10,000 and flew me up to the Black Knight. All across planet Earth, all kinds of communication systems were breaking down. A team of Mistretta's most loyal subjects and sycophants were left on Earth, along with Julie and the kids. President Mason had fully lost control of her country. She was forcefully removed from office and assassinated shortly after in an attempt to overturn a coup established by the NWA insurgents. Likewise, other global leaders and powers were drowned in the overwhelming wave of anarchy and lawlessness until all that was left were pockets of vigilante-like tribes hunting and preying on each other. My family was also part of this nightmare, for even all governments, facilities, and programs, including Area 70, were completely compromised by the growing number of organized mobs and outlaw groups. One of these groups captured them, believing Sebastian would one day lead them to power. These were incredibly difficult times for Julie, always on the run, dodging and negotiating with parties seeking personal gain from their unique giftings. It is a story worth telling how Julie blossomed into a figure of strength, honor, and grace. Learning to trust the Marcel and how to navigate the half-realm gave her a bit of an advantage, one full of pain and hardship. After many years of running, the NWA finally caught up with them. In exchange for the safety of Sebastian and Brigitte, Julie agreed to be joined to their new and improved profit system. The NWA kept their promise, and our children were well taken care of, lacking for nothing. As all of this was happening, I was aboard the Black Knight, traversing the outer expanse of the Kuiper Belt, headed toward a planet in the Epsilon Buddhist star system. I was awakened from my hibernation suddenly as Julie's life finally gave out. I cringed for a moment, knowing she was gone. We would one day see each other again, but never again in the physical realm. Her choice was also a reminder to me how we are all powerless in changing the course of time. And in all of my efforts to change all of that, she was still on that bed next to that processor, and my kids would still be taken from me by the same evil that tore my world apart. The moment she died, I stared at the pearl of light inside so as to stave off any evil around me. No matter how hard it was for me to accept the realities of my family's fate, I would not turn away from my salvation. I ran to it, to him. There, I was reminded how knowledge always leads to a struggle for control, while faith leads to knowing who really is in control. Although the collective could never bear that truth and that light, they also feared it and what it meant for one of their souls to be in constant contact with it. Mier the Pharisee was selected to finally call to me from the darkness. He attempted to find an area of weakness and draw me away from the light. Sidling up as close as possible, he called. "So this is the type of God you want to serve? One who leaves you and your family to languish and die? When will you finally realize he never really cared about you, Michael? All he ever cared about was to celebrate your so-called victories. But where is he as you wallow in your pain? Curse him now. Turn your back on this light that you think brings you comfort. Walk away and never return to it. We are your family now." But recognizing that voice, the same voice that once yelled, "Crucify him!" I chose instead to fix my gaze more intently upon the light. And as I did, it shone even brighter, causing Mier to flee. Then something happened that I never thought possible. From within the dank pool of that collective hive, I was drawn into a new half-realm journey, this time a friendly face, the most beautiful face in the whole universe, was there to greet me. What will Michael find out as he draws closer than ever to his eternal home? Find out in Chapter 24. But first, let's take another half-realm journey back to find out who Enoch was.